Hi, this is Amie at the virtual Planetarium at Raritan Valley Community College. Let's take a look at some of the things we can see in the sky for the week of September 27th. I will start with our upcoming moon phases. The moon is full on October 1st. It will be at last quarter on October 9th, and the moon will be new on October 16th. The October 1st full moon will be the harvest moon because it is the full moon closest to the autumnal equinox. Harvest moon is the most famous of all the full moon names. Some sources say the name originates from farmers using the light of the full moon after sunset to extend the time they could spend harvesting their crops in the fields. Let's take a look at our sky. We're going to look in the northern sky, and I'm going to set the sky for October 2nd at 8:30 p.m. And if you're facing north, you may or may not see the Big Dipper. Right there, the Big Dipper. It's pretty low on the horizon. It's only about 20 degrees above the horizon. So if you've got lots of houses and trees around you, they'll block out the bottom part of the sky, and it may obscure the Big Dipper for you. But if you've got a clear view of the horizon, it's still there to be seen. The Big Dipper is a circumpolar constellation, meaning it circles the pole star, Polaris. Do you remember how to find Polaris? Well, we use the pointer stars. They're called Dubhe and Merak. They are the two stars in the bowl of the Dipper that are farthest from the handle. Draw a line through these two stars and they point you right to Polaris, the North Star. It takes the Big Dipper and the other circumpolar stars and constellations 24 hours or 1 day to circle the pole star. Circumpolar stars don't go below the horizon, so we can see them all year round. One object we haven't talked about in a while is the International Space Station. If you watch the northern sky on Friday, October 2nd at 8:32 p.m., you may see a bright light moving across the sky. It's as bright as Jupiter, which is in the southern sky. I've got the sky moving just a touch faster than real time. You can see this bright object moving through the handle of the Big Dipper and then disappearing. That is the International Space Station. It blinks out after about 3 minutes. How did I know it was going to be there? Let me show you. We're going to go to a website called Heavens Above. And you can find it at heavens-above.com. On the top right of the website is the location. You want to set your location. I have it set for Raritan Valley Community College in Branchburg, New Jersey. And if you live within, say, 30 miles or so of us, then you can use the timings that I'm going to show you. But you definitely want to change the timings and the location on this website. Otherwise, you're going to get way off dates and times for seeing things. Okay, so you would just click on that location link, and it gives you a map. It gives you latitude and longitude that you can fill in for your hometown. All right, so after you've got your location set, on the left-hand side, we see a heading that says satellites. And if you go down, it says 10-day prediction for satellites. And let's click on ISS for the International Space Station. Well, now we have a list of upcoming visible passes of the International Space Station. September 30th, we've got one that's minus 1.9. So this first column, or the second column really, is the brightness in magnitude. Remember we talked a couple weeks ago about how negative numbers are brighter than positive numbers. So you want to look for these negative number ones. So on October 2nd, we see minus 2.5. That's nice and bright. Okay, so then the next column we have here is the start time. What time are you going to see it? 2032 means 8 p.m., 8:32 p.m. And then this middle section here that says highest point, this is the maximum altitude for each visible pass. So 8:35 p.m. and it's going to get up to 37 degrees. And we're going to be looking northwest to north-northwest. Now, if you're still not quite sure what all that means, you can click on the date in the first column, and that gives you a map. Lovely. North is at the top. We have northeast, northwest, and then a line here showing the path of the International Space Station with some timings. So 8:31, it's on the horizon. 8:32, 8:33, 8:34, 8:35. And you can see the Big Dipper right here, Ursa Major, and the International Space Station will pass right through the handle of the Big Dipper. Fantastic. So that's coming up this week. There's a couple of other passes that are pretty bright, not quite as bright, not quite as high. 13 degrees, 14 degrees, that's not terribly high in the sky. But as a heads up, look down to October 5th. So next week, minus 3.8 magnitude. That is really bright. And look at this, it's going to be 87 degrees above the horizon. It's going to pass directly overhead, and it'll spend about 6 minutes in the sky. So that is absolutely a pass that you want to check out. All right, let us go back to our night sky. Wonderful. And we are going to change from looking in the north to looking over in the eastern sky. So let's move around. Now we're looking east, and we see a couple of bright objects in the eastern sky right after sunset. I still have the sky set for about 8:30 this evening. We have the planet Mars and the moon right by Mars. They look like they're touching, and they're not going to touch, but they are going to be super close on the night of October 2nd. On Friday night, the moon will appear less than 2 degrees from Mars. And it's a day after the full moon, so the moon's still going to appear nearly full. It'll be much brighter than Mars, but Mars is just shy of its peak brightness right now. So it's shining at about magnitude minus 2.5. So you should still be able to see it looking orangish next to the brighter moon. Now above Mars is always going to be in the evening sky, but above Mars is the Great Square of Pegasus. This is one of our autumn constellations, so it tells us that a new season is coming. It's made up of 4 bright stars: Markab, Shiat, Alpheratz, and Algenib. Now, Alpheratz is actually part of the constellation Andromeda, but we also pull it into the Great Square of Pegasus. We use it for the Great Square of Pegasus as well. Okay, so we saw Mars, we saw the moon. Now, if we want, we can back up our days. So here's Monday, the 28th, and the moon is going to be positioned between Jupiter and Saturn and Mars. And then each day, it will get closer and closer to Mars. But a couple of days before it is by Mars, The moon on Monday is going to be above a bright star right here, pretty far above, but near the horizon there's a bright star, and this bright star is called Fomalhaut. It is magnitude 1.15. It's a first magnitude star. Oh, it's not Starlink. Let's zoom in a little bit so we click more on the star than that satellite. Go a couple of days forward. There we go. All right, so now we've got the star name up on the screen. Pisces Austrinus is the constellation that this is in. Pisces Austrinus, which means the southern fish. It's low on the horizon, so it's a constellation we don't often talk about. It's one of the original 48 constellations cataloged by the Greek astronomer Ptolemy in the 2nd century. Like I said, its name means southern fish, Pisces Austrinus. In Greek mythology, it was known as the Great Fish and was portrayed as drinking the water, oh, not that one, we want this constellation, drinking the water poured out by the constellation Aquarius. In Egyptian mythology, the fish saved the life of the goddess Isis, and she showed her gratitude by placing the fish in the heavens as a constellation. So Pisces Austrinus, or Alpha Pisces Austrinus, is more commonly called Fomalhaut, and is the brightest star in the constellation, and represents the mouth of the fish. It's a blue giant star located approximately 25 light years from Earth. Well, that's our sky for this week. Thank you very much for joining me in our virtual planetarium. We look forward to seeing you in our real planetarium in the future. Until then, keep looking up.